Hello, thank you for joining me and welcome back. I'm Jem, this is my creative space and this is probably going to be my last mass make video for a little while anyway. And like I said last week, I've still been using the hashtag of mass make March just because I want all these videos to come together in one playlist. But yes, I'll acknowledge it is April. We need to come up with a hashtag for mass make all year round, I think. And I've been talking with another creator about this week. Anyway, righty-ho, where are we going? Well, do you know what? On my desk, let me show you. And you can see me pushing bits around. This is on my desk. Now, despite clearing up, and I've cleared up, I've sorted out a lot of drawers, I've tidied up a lot of stuff. I know where stuff is. This is what I call my working scraps box, because unless you're clearing up and not doing anything else, you are still going to be generating scraps and bits and pieces. So I have this box, it sits on my desk, and this is what I call my working scraps. So these are just bits and pieces off what I'm doing or have been doing. I mean, this one, for example, is a page from a book. I was going to make a journaling card and then it didn't quite work out with what I wanted, you know. So it's stuff like that. There's a braille off sheet there. There's music paper. There's bits and pieces. You get the picture. And for this mass make, I'm going to be tackling this box. Now, I am semi-organised in that, you go on, you can laugh, it's okay. I also have this little box, and this tends to have smaller bits that have been fussy cut. You know, as much as I can, I try and sort it. It doesn't always work, I have to say. But I do try and keep the kind of the smaller bits in there, or, as I say, the fussy cut bits and pieces. So I've got these two boxes. Let me show you what we're going to make today. Oh, sorry, let me just have a slurp of tea, that's better. We're going to be making clusters today, but I want to show you a really easy mass make way of doing this. And I have done this before, but I think the video's got buried inside a challenge like Defember or Junk Journal July or something like that. Anyway, we're going to be making clusters. Let me show you some of these. This is the kind of thing we're going to be doing. I love these. You can make these on any theme to go with whatever you're doing, or you can just make a general kind of neutral bunch and then add on to them later on. When you actually put them in a journal. I mean, this one, for instance, yeah, it's got quite a neutral kind of theme. You might add something else onto this that's a particular colour that picks up something on your journal page when you put it in. All right, you can see also there are lots of different sizes. This is a fairly big one. Go right down to little ones like this. Now, clusters are great. You can stick them on tags, you can stick them on journaling cards, you can put them on pockets, you can put them on the front of journals, the front of notebooks. If you have a stash of these, they're a real quick, easy way of decorating anything. Let me show you. This is one of the pockets I made recently with old envelopes. If you've got a base like this, you can grab something like this, pop it on. You know, you've instantly got something that's potentially almost finished. You know, something else down here. You know, it's a great, easy way. In fact, that one would fit quite nicely on there, wouldn't it? You know, and you could put maybe another mushroom or something else on here. All right, so that's what we're going to be doing today. And as I say, I'm going to be showing you the easiest way of making these en masse. I will show you this one quickly because this one is slightly different from what I'm going to be showing you today. This one, the base is corrugated card that's had the front ripped off. But when you see what we're going to do today, you will also see that you can do exactly the same with this to get this effect, just replacing the base substrate with corrugated card. All right, and these are a little bit thicker. These are great for journal toppers or, you know, things like that. Okay, let's pop these to the side. I'll show you how we start off. Here we go. Alrighty, and I'm going to start off. I might have to break the video and do some more later, so you may notice the light changing later on. This is a sheet of coffee dyed paper. No big shakes there, nothing difficult, nothing, you know. I could use this if I wanted as my base. This is just packing paper that's been used as a brayer off sheet. But I'm going to use a piece of coffee dyed paper to start with. And then I'm going to sit down because that's easier. Out of my working scraps box here, I'm going to pull a couple of things. Now, once you've done a few of these, you'll find how you like to work. I like to start off, my first layer, I like to start off with either book page or music paper. And all you're going to do is tear some rough shapes. You know, try and get them all different. And I actually like to use Mod Podge for this bit. I don't know why, I just do. Or matte gel medium, whatever you've got like that. So grab yourself a few pieces. Again, I like a torn edge. It's entirely up to you. All right, let's sort myself out. Not get too messy too soon. Right. Got your piece of coffee dyed paper. You're literally going to paste the back of your book page or your music paper, whatever you're using, and you're going to stick it on. Now this is probably an A4 sheet or a letter size, and so I tend to, with this size, if I'm using this size background, oh, no, that's okay. It's all right. I was looking at the writing on there, wondering if I wanted that the other way up, but that's all right. With this size paper, I tend to do sort of one row of slightly smaller clusters and one row of slightly bigger ones at the top. And you will notice that when I'm sticking these bits on, oh, that's not going to work because it's got, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to stick that on there like that. I didn't want that photograph of a horse. So you will see I'm leaving a bit of a gap between, so this is kind of your base layer, and I'm leaving a little bit of a gap. Now, I've got a small space here, and this is where you can make the smaller ones that are this kind of size. So with this one, I'm just going to pop that there. That's some quite interesting writing font on there, and I'm just going to stick some of those edges down like that. All right, so that's our base. Now the next layer is really up to you. I'm just pulling a couple in here. Well, really from here on in is up to you. You can start adding some texture or some colour. So if you're making a particular colour theme. Another thing I love to add at this stage is, Now let me see what I can find, because I am trying to work my way through these scraps. So here, this is an offcut of sewing paper and napkin from something I was doing the other day. There's a tea bag here. Oh, there's another one there that's already open. There we go. What else have I got? I've got a bit more napkin there. I'm looking to see if I've got any more of the sewing pattern, paper pattern. Oh yeah, I can see a bit down there. So really, you know, there's no set formula, and you will find what works for you once you've, as I say, once you've made a few of these. You're really just going to keep building up layers now. And you can use glue stick, you can use Mod Podge, you can use whatever you happen to have. And there's, you know, we're not aiming to keep them all one on top of the other. We're aiming for random. So this is a nice small bit. This will probably go on here really nicely. Do you know, this can be a really quick process, but also it's one of those wonderful, I find one of those wonderful meditative processes. You can just sit and do this and use up your scraps, but you get quite, I can get quite lost in the process. It's another one of those things that I'll often put a podcast on to listen to while I'm doing this, and you're just playing really. But it's a great mass make. It's a great scrap busting exercise, and I quite often do it, I have to say, when my box of working scraps that you can see that I showed you is getting a bit too much. Because it uses up all those bits. So finish that with the next one. There you go. How quick was that? We've got 2 layers done already. All right, guys, as I suspected, I had to leave this yesterday. So this is dried overnight. So lovely and dry. All right, so what we've got is a couple, 2, in some places 3 layers of just bits and pieces. What I like to do next, and you can carry on adding if you want to, and you can start adding colour if you want to. This first page, I'm going to keep quite sort of neutral vintage type theme and step you through what I do. And what I'll do then is I'll do a couple of other pages with different themes and some colours, just to show you, give you some ideas for different ones. And I'll do that on sort of a faster speed. Right, get my head back into this. Okay, so what I like to do next is to put some texture. And so this is my pile of scraps. And you will see some of this is kind of a lace. I've got a bit of, oh, this is a wallpaper that's a Hessian that I've been using the ends of. Onion bag, great stuff. Bits of scraps of silk, which are offcuts of eco printing. Yep, bits of ribbon, lace. So that's the kind of stuff I add next. So let's use up some of this and create another layer. Now I tend to use a slightly stronger glue for this. If you have something like a fabric glue, I know a lot of people use fabric tack. I don't have fabric tack. Sorry, just having a slurp of tea. I don't have fabric tack. I use something, let me show you, and I have shown you this before on my videos, but this, it's called Tiger Grip. It's made by a company called Helmar. I know we can get this here in New Zealand and Australia. it's really good. It's a good multi-purpose. And I have one that has already started. So I think I might cut this bit in half. And I'm just going to kind of zigzag up the middle there with my scissors. So yes, you can make these clusters in any colourway and in any sort of theme that you want, really. But one of the projects I'm going to be working on in the next sort of month or so is using up the rest of the ephemera that I created as part of the Dephemera challenge last year. And I made one journal, and I put all the rest of the ephemera away, and I've got another journal ready to go. And that for me was very much a vintage theme, so I'm going to create these extra clusters to go in there. And the other thing is that a lot of the scraps and the bits and pieces on my desk are of that sort of, they fit well with a vintagey theme, shall we say. Right, what's this bit? Might be quite interesting on there. Need to leave that on its side, don't I? It's starting to come to the end. All right, what have we got left? Let's try a bit of this. Now this has got a sticky back, but I kind of, it came on a roll, and I picked it up in a thrift store, op shop, as I do most things, and some of it's been really quite good and sticky, and some of it was obviously past its best. A little bit of that might be good on there. So as you see, once, particularly if you've got a pile of scraps, you can create these quite quickly. I also think they're another great thing to do. Do you have those days where you just sit down and go, oh, I want to create, but I don't know what to do? Pull some scraps out and make some clusters. It's always a good, I always find it a good way to, get over that kind of creative block, if you like. And also I always feel like I'm doing something fairly productive when I make these. Because I know that even if they go into my drawer for quite a while, I do always use them. And as I say, they're pretty good if you want to pull something together in a hurry. They're also really great if you need a birthday card for somebody, or any kind of card for somebody, really. If you've got some clusters, you can probably find one that you can do something with, and turn into a quick and easy birthday card, or any kind of greetings card, really. I'm going to go for a couple of thin bits of this silk. And if you find things are sticking out too much once you've finished your clusters, you can always cut them off. Oh. It's the only problem with silk, does the threads do get everywhere. Right, let's wipe my hands a minute. This one needs something else. Now that one I probably will cut off. Now if you're looking and thinking, well, they're not terribly secure, yeah, don't panic, that's okay. Because what I'm going to be doing is adding more things on top. So if these are not, you know, 100% stuck down, that doesn't matter. Now you can also, if you like that sort of scrunched thread look, you know, a bit like that, you can do this as well on your clusters. I'm just going to pop that one there for a minute, and then when we put something over the top, that'll hold it down. This is, it's kind of a cotton net, and I've found that they sell it in a sort of, in the dollar stores and things around Halloween time. And it's, you know, dead cheap, and it's great. I've coffee dyed some of this. In fact, I think this is a coffee dyed piece, and I really love using it. Right, I think that for now, that's, oh, getting all sticky here. Oh goodness me. I think that for now, that's going to be enough. She says adding another bit. Just got to put glue there. I'm going to stick that on top of it. All right. So now you can have a look and you can think, all right, do I need something else? Or am I good to go to add my focal point? Now, if I was working to a colour theme, this is probably the point where I would start to add some of that colour in. But as I say, I'm wanting to keep this reasonably neutral. So what I'm going to do now is to pull out some tickets, some fussy cuts, some bits from magazines, and I think I have a few odd stickers around as well. And I'm going to start adding some interest and some focal points. Okay, so as you can see, I've got a pile of bits here, and these are just various pieces. Some of them are, these are from a Tracy Fox project that I did last year. There's some, as I say, some have come from magazines, some are little stickers and things. So we're going to have a go with those. I've also got, I found a couple of odds and ends of gel prints, you know, pulling sheets, things like that. So I might add those in as well. In fact, I'm going to start with a piece of this one. All right, so I've just paused to put all the lids on my glue and my ink pads and things because it's quite a warm day here. But that, in essence, I mean, you can carry on, you can add as much or as little as you like. There's always room to add more. Like, as I say, when you're actually using them, you can always add on to these. The last step, and you will now, when I do this, you will see why I've left quite a gap in between them. Because what we do now is we put our big girl brave pants on and we tear. And I would say go bigger to start with. You can always take more off. You can't, well, you can add it back on, but that's more difficult. And I just go around the edges like that, and I pause to have a look, and I go, is that what I want? Do I maybe want a corner off here so it doesn't look quite so square? There we go. I'm going to take my brown. I'm going to ink around the edges. And voila, there's your first cluster. All right, I'm going to do exactly the same with the rest of them. And again, all right, so here's our sheet, or what started off as a sheet of A4 or letter sized coffee dyed paper, and this is what we've ended up with. Got a whole bunch of clusters. Now, as I say, and I say it again, you can always add on more to these. The other thing you can do, and I showed you one earlier which had a corrugated cardboard backing, you can start with a whole sheet of corrugate like this if you want to, instead of the coffee dyed paper. But the other thing you can do is, if you just want one or two, you can add them on afterwards. Now obviously that bit's not quite big enough for that, but if I wanted to put this one on, I could do. In fact, let's do that. And the way I tend to do it is to glue first and then tear around it, just like I've done with those others. Now, the other thing you might notice with these is that some of them I've left more of the coffee dyed paper showing than others. And again, that's just a personal preference. You know, you can do some with a big margin, and you can do some without any margin at all if you don't want to. So let's finish this one off. And then what I'm going to do is I will do another sheet in a completely different style. Oh, that's not sticking very well, is it? This is this piece of corrugate came off a takeaway coffee cup, I think. So it's not normal sort of packing card that I might use otherwise. But anyway, let's see how it goes. I think once that's stuck, it'll be fine. So there you go. That's another idea you can add to the back as well. All right, as I say, that's the basic ideas. And hopefully you've been able to follow that process. What I'm going to do now is one more sheet in a completely different style. I will put the video on fast forward, so you can either choose to watch along and see the process again, or you can just have a look at the end and see some different results. But that, as I say, is my basic process, and that's my mass make clusters. So I'll see you in a minute. Okay folks, so I'll show you those dark ones in a minute, but let's start off with some of the first ones we looked at and I showed you how to make today. These are the more neutral kind of vintage feel. Some of them have got a bit of a nature theme, you know, they're kind of popular, fit into quite a lot of different genres that people are doing. So that's the first lot of clusters we have. And then I wanted to show you that the same technique could be adapted for any kind of theme. And so I did these. And you watched me do these. And these are more, now I'm going to go, okay, they're not to everybody's taste. They may not be to your taste. But what I'd like you to do is to think of these as kind of an illustration of the fact that these same techniques for creating clusters can be used for any kind of journal. So if your vibe is not the vintage naturey type journal, these might appeal to you more. And I've got to be honest and say I've got a dark gothic journal which I've been making for probably well over a year now. So I probably need to do a few more bits like this and then pull it all together and finish it off. So that's those. I've also done one more lot to show you, and I didn't do these on camera because the technique is exactly the same. But what I realised was I had quite a lot of blue pieces of paper in my stash there, and a lot of those were in the inside of envelopes. This was an old airmail envelope from projects from the last few weeks that I've been doing. And so I created a little set of blue ones here, and the backing is just a piece of, it was an offcut of scrapbook paper, or card, textured card, and I've inked the edges in blue. So again, I just wanted to show you the same technique, completely different theme or colourway that you can use. And obviously you could do this with any colour. You know, if you're doing a pink fairy journal, you can make pink fairy clusters. The process is exactly the same. And you'll see I pulled in some other bits and pieces here. There's a couple of feathers in here, and you know, these are ones that I'd used on the gel plate. They were originally white, and I'd used them on the gel plate. They got covered in paint. I'd bunged them in a bag when they were dry, and I've been pulling them out and using them for things like this. All right, so and this is particularly easy to do if you sort your scraps into colours, which I do tend to do. Okay, or the other thing is, if you've got a set of you know, quite often you'll buy a pack of stickers or fussy cuts and they're all in a certain colour theme. These are really easy to do from things like that. Okay guys, so we've got 3 different interpretations there on clusters. I hope that's been fun. These are a great quick mass make. You can turn one of these out in probably 15 minutes to half an hour, I would think, if you've got all your bits and pieces you know, to hand. And as I say, I will say one more time, it's a great way of using up your scraps. So hope that's been useful. I will be back on Sunday, and I've got a bit of an exciting project to start on Sunday, so do tune in. Sunday sessions as normal. See you then. In the meantime, stay safe, have a good week, and I will catch you soon. Ka kite ano.